Hi guys, how's everyone doing today? I told you I'd come back with a part two to what I was talking about, how I started to wake up. The first symptoms I had while waking up. Um, yeah, I said I'd come back with a part two, and here I am. So I'm not going to stay on very long because so it'll probably have to be a part three. But I have to go pick up my daughter. She is volunteering, taking care of horses on is it like a horse school, horse riding school. So she's volunteering to take care of the horses. There's 30 horses. She's taking care of them, feeding them. Um, yeah. So that, anyway. Yeah. So how's everyone doing today? I hope you guys are doing fine. I'm doing fantastic. I can't believe I'm saying that. I've come a long way in order to say that, guys. A long way. Yeah. I the last thing that I was talking about was 9/11. And that's when I found out about I thought that something was strange about 9/11. I just couldn't put my finger on it. With I was studying Nostradamus this the day before, and he was talking about. I'm just recapping what I had said in my previous video. Yeah, he was talking about a metal bird crashing into two poles going up to heaven, going like two big gigantic poles, iron poles, going up to heaven. So, um, yeah. Then I realized that he was talking about 9/11. To be honest with you, he predicted 9/11. He predicted a lot of things. To be honest, wow. He predicted a lot of things. He even predicted Obama. He predicted Kennedy being shot. And this was a man that was, uh, he was like from the 1918 or something, I don't know, 1718 or something like that. Like really, really, don't quote me on the year, guys, but I mean, we're talking like decades and decades ago, that this man was born. So I just found it fascinating, and I just found it strange that they took off all of his information off of the internet. Go figure. So from then is when that became my journey to start waking up. Started to wake up then because something just didn't rub me the right way with that, and especially being all the way over here in Spain and that happening. And my parents were over there, and my family's over there, my friends. Yeah, so it was a really sad time for me. It was really, really hysterical back then. But as time went on, I don't know, I just started to see things differently. From that day on, I just started to see things differently. And little at a time, this is when I had my son. I already had two children at around this time. And I just started to see things, I can't explain it, just differently. And then, I live all the way over here, and then my father, he got sick. He got sick, he had a really major stroke. And they always say that, you start to awaken when you go through a really bad, maybe like something traumatizing happens to you, or, yeah, when something traumatizing happens to you, if something sad happens to you, or you lose a loved one, or you lose something big in your life. That's when awakening starts, guys. I swear that's what it was. That's what it was. My father got sick. I am an only child. I don't have any other brothers and sisters. And my parents were still together and living in Atlanta. And I was all the way over here. And I remember my father being sick, and I am my dad's, oh my gosh, he was my heart. My father was my heart. And I remember not having enough money to travel to see him. And I was devastated. I was devastated. But my cousin came to the rescue for me, and she sent me $1,000 to take a plane trip to see my father, and I'll never forget her for that. Never ever forget her for that, because I was devastated. So I'd go and visit every summer for like 2 months. I'd go over there for 2 months, visit my dad and my mother, take care of him because my mom was really straining taking care of my father. He had Alzheimer's. He had a stroke. He was like bedridden, and he started to, I don't know, some of the symptoms of Alzheimer's is yelling and screaming and cursing people out, and that's what he was doing to my mother and I. And I knew that it wasn't him. So as time went on, he was sick, and then I'd come home, and then I was having problems, major, big problems with my husband. He was in his own world. I started to feel not supported by him. I was devastated from that. Then my mother came down with breast cancer. So I'm all the way over here. My father's sick. My mom has breast cancer. She's taking care of my dad. He's hysterical, calling her all kinds of B words and hitting her and everything. And I know that it wasn't him. It's the sickness, because that's what happens when you have this sickness, these kind of sicknesses. So, and I remember going to visit them one year, and I went with my mom to the doctor. She got bisectomy, is what do you call it? Yeah, they cut off the tumor part of the breast, well, her whole breast. And the doctor looked at me and he says to me, "You now have to be careful because you can probably get cancer too." I said, "Come again?" He says, "Yeah, you could probably get cancer too." I said, "Nah, I take good care of myself." He says, "No, sometimes this just happens that way. When your parent has it, you can probably get it too." And I'm like, wow. The next day, I checked my breast. I said, "Let me check and see what's going on over here." So I was like checking my breast, right? So I said, "Nah." And all of a sudden, I felt like this, the head of a pin type of, like a little pimple inside rolling around in my breast. I said, "Nah, it couldn't be. It could not be." And I was there in America visiting them at the time. And this is after I had spoken to the doctor, and the doctor told me to be careful. I said, nah. Okay, so I noticed it. I didn't say anything to anybody, but I had noticed it. And 3 years were going on, and as the years went by, I went back and forth to visit my family, and I was just completely stressed out. My hair was falling out in clumps. I was so devastated because my mom couldn't handle him. I was trying to determine whether if I should go home or, to go home and be with them and take care of my parents like a daughter should. I felt that way. I felt really not obligated. I thought it was my right to take care of them. They took care of me, so why couldn't I take care of them? But I had children that were born here, and then they had to go to school. I was devastated. I had so much stress going through my system, guys. And then I didn't have no support from my husband. And he was acting strange, and we started to sleep in separate rooms, and I just didn't want my children to see or get the impression that that was the reason why that's love. I don't want them to get that. But I said, you know what, I got to stick it out for my kids. I know something was wrong, but I said I got to stick it out with my kids. So, then my father passed away. And let me tell you, girl, that rocked my world. I went home. I'm glad I had a chance to go home. My mom ended up paying for that flight. That was 7,000 euros for a ticket for all of us to go there to say goodbye to my dad. So he hadn't passed away when I got there, but a lot of things to do with my father's death made me awaken so much more. First of all, when I first walked in, I realized that my son is very clairvoyant. He's very, very clairvoyant. And we walked in to see Grandpa, my father. And my son says to me, "Mommy, do you see them 3 people over there?" I said, "Where?" He says, "There's 3 people standing over by Grandpa's bed." I said, you kidding me? He says, no, there's three people. There are three people, a man and a woman, a black man and a black woman, and a little boy dressed in a white robe. I said, are you kidding me? He says, I am dead serious, Mommy. He says, but the oddest thing. I said, what is it, son? He says, they have no faces. I said, wow. I said, you crazy? Are you serious? He says, I'm dead serious, Mommy. So I said, I kept that in mind because I can feel something. I've always been that way as well. I was like him when I was younger, but I lost it. I don't see them anymore. I don't see spirit, but I feel it. And I felt something. So then the next day, while I was cleaning up my dad because he was bedridden and he was on his way out, to be honest with you, I was cleaning him up and I saw a shadow passing by the door because he was in his own bedroom and my mom was in her own bedroom because he's very sick, you know, he needs all the room. He had like a special medical bed for him anyway. And I remember looking at the door and lo and behold, I saw somebody pass by the door but then backed up and looked. And when I looked, I saw that the person had on a white robe. And I looked to see who it was, and he had no face. This is when I started to notice weird things, man. And it started out with my dad because my dad was always this type of person. My son has picked up what my dad has. My father was very spiritual, very clairvoyant, very psychic. He knew when I was pregnant before I knew I was pregnant. One day he called me, he says, you're pregnant. I said, no, I'm not, Daddy. He says, yes, you're pregnant. He's Jamaican, you know, you're pregnant. Go take a test, you're pregnant. I said, what do you mean? How do you know I'm pregnant? He says, you're pregnant because me see big fish in my dreams. I see a big fish. And when you see big fish, that means that you're related to the person. You're pregnant. I said, oh my God. I went to take a test. Lo and behold, I was pregnant. So my dad was always that way, and my son has picked it up. Believe me. I can tell you some stories about my son. That's another video. But anyway, speaking of that, I gave him, it was his birthday, and for a gift, I made a Moldavite pendant for him with a Herkimer diamond. This for his birthday, because I think he's ready. I think he's ready for it. But anyway, he loves it. He feels the spirit of it, and he programmed it. So I'm happy for that. I'm happy for him. A little at a time, I'll give it to them, my kids, if I feel that they're ready for it. You have to be ready for Moldavite kiddos. You can't just wear it just like that out of the blue. You might get something that you ask for. Put it that way. Anyway, so then that, like, what was that? What happened? Yeah, he had a caretaker that was taking care of him, and the caretaker had to go away for the weekend, and she had to go on Friday. So she says to me, Sharon. And she was, I guess, maybe a little bit clairvoyant as well. I'm not going to get into her. I'm not going to get into what she does. But she says, you need to shave your father because he's not going to survive for the weekend. And I won't be back until Sunday. So he will not survive until Sunday. So you need to shave him because afterwards, if you try to shave him after he passes away, the skin will come off as you shave him. I'm like, wow, thanks for telling me that, man. I didn't want to hear that, but I'm glad she told me. So, yeah. So she left on the Friday, and on the Saturday, I shaved him, and he was in his bed, and I was shaving him, and my son was helping me shave him, Grandpa. And I really, really enjoyed the smell of the shaving cream. It's just so nice. I love the smell of it, you know. And I'll never forget that. And my father just looked at me. He couldn't talk very well, but he just tapped me on the back, like, you know, and he gave me 3 kisses. You know, his number's number 3. And I said, I love you, Daddy. He says, I love you too. He couldn't talk very well. So the next day, at no, actually the same day, but the next day at 3 o'clock in the morning, my mom called me from my bed, and she says, "I think Daddy's passing." So I came down to see what he was doing, and he was trying to squeeze my hand to show me that he was strong. He was really squeezing the hell out of my hand. I said, "I get you, Daddy. I know you're." I know, and I had rings on my fingers, and he was squeezing the hell out of my hand. I said, "I know you're strong, Daddy. I know that you're okay. All right, all right." And you can tell that he just started to pass. He started to kind of pass just peacefully in his sleep. You can see that death was creeping up on him from his feet all the way going up his body. And as it was creeping up from his feet to the top of him, he looks at me, and there's a tear rolling down his eye, and I said, "Bye, Daddy." And he's saying this. The tear was for me. He's saying goodbye. And as death crawled up to his face, he was gone. He was like, I just saw his spirit leave his body. And when his spirit left his body, it's almost like people were dragging his spirit out of his body, because you could see those grimace on his face, like, ugh. You could see that. I remember that. And when I saw his spirit going out of his body, going up towards the ceiling, I saw a big flash of light in the ceiling, a big white, blue, electric light. This flash, and he was gone. That right there, guys. That right there is when I knew. I said, there's more to the life than what we see, There's more to life than what we really know. There's so much more to life. I didn't believe in these things, And then I'm gonna stop here, because I'm gonna stop this one more thing. And that same day, remember that happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we went out for a drive later on, because my father's body was laying there for hours before the coroners came and got him. And we went to the store. My friend drove us to the store, CVS. My children and I. My mom stayed in the house, And remember going to CVS to pick up some snacks. Okay, on the way home, it was a beautiful, beautiful, perfect day. I said, how could a day like this be so perfect when something so terrible happened? You always often think that way. And I remember my friend had a sunroof in her car, And I remember coming from CVS, stopping at the light, waiting for the light to change. And it was not a wind in the sky. There was no wind, no nothing. It was just a beautiful day. And we're all sitting down there just completely exhausted, and nobody slept, really. And my friend has a sunroof. Then all of a sudden, this big flow of air just came and knocked the hell out of the car, and came through the sunroof and came through all of us. And all we could smell was shaving cream. All we could smell was shaving cream. And the kid said, Mommy, it's Grandpa. I said, yeah, guys. I just smelled the shaving cream on my hands. I smelled it on my clothes. The kids, they had shaving cream all over. You could smell shaving cream. That same shaving cream that I was shaving my father with the day before. And that's when I knew that something was going on. Something had changed about me. Something that I never believed in before really changed my life. So as to that, I better get out of here and go pick up my daughter. There's going to be a part 3, guys. And the part 3 will probably be a little bit longer. But I'm happy that I can get my son a beautiful Moldavite pendant. Well, I made it myself. It's made from lead. So I made him a little pendant with a Herkimer diamond on top. So you see I'm wearing I love this thing, guys. It really just calms down the energy of my Moldavites. I absolutely love it. I have to get more of these. I think I'll get this for my younger daughter because it's a more softer, subtle type of energy. They say that it does the same. They call it, I heard that they call it golden moldavite. They call it golden moldavite as well as Libyan desert glass. So it does the same thing, but just a little bit calmer. I love it. I love it. So anyway, I better get out of here before my daughter kills me. Okay, guys? You guys take care. I love each and every one of you. And God bless you guys. Thank you for listening for me this long, okay? And maybe I'll give, you know what? I think the next video, if you guys can listen all the way till the end, maybe I'll do a giveaway. I think I will. I will make some kind of a pendant. And I will give a giveaway to you guys to see if you guys will listen to me, you know? If I can get you guys to listen to me. All right, guys. You guys take care, all right? I love you. Peace out. Peace, love, and blessings to each and every one of you. Okay. Bye.